Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. This is Recovery Talk. And like I always say, the main purpose why I started doing this is to spread the word that recovery is possible, because with the pandemic, everything going on in the world, a lot of things shut down, gyms, malls, businesses, so much things closed down. But one thing that will never close down is social media. And there's a lot of people all around the world that's struggling with drugs and alcohol, but they have social media. So we just, want to be that example for somebody that may be struggling, that may be scrolling one day through their feed and see something about how somebody got sober. And then that helps them to kind of motivate them to reach out for help. But today I'm gonna have my friend Hayley on. I'm gonna let her tell her story. It's a little bit more unique, and it's a great one. You guys are not gonna want to miss it. But here she is waving at me, so I'm gonna get her in here, and then we're gonna get this show going. Uh oh, let's try that again. Thank you guys for tuning in. Marty, what's up, man? Hey,
Hey,
hey, there she
Alicia,
is.
how are
How's it
you?
going? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
understand, some people they rather be anonymous, which is cool, it's all good. It looks like, is it dark there where you are?
It is. Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah,
6
yeah.
p.m. in DC. So
Oh wow. All
y'all
right,
out in
cool.
Cali got that nice weather and you get the sun for a little bit longer. We're sitting in the dark over here.
Yeah, I know, originally I'm from Hawaii, and Hawaii, like, we only have one season, and that's summer, really. Really, it's
Yeah,
it's summer weather all year round. I actually, honestly, I didn't even know my seasons until I moved to California.
oh, I believe
Yeah,
it.
because Hawaii is just, it's always summer.
It's always tropical. It's always beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you again so much for being here with us. I'm really excited, and like I've been saying this a lot on these shows is a lot of the connections and friends I've made that's sober. Like we got this huge sober community on social media, specifically on Instagram. Like I never knew almost all you guys that I've done these shows with so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but it's just it's amazing though. That we all had a common problem, but
Right.
that doesn't keep us together. It's a solution that holds us together, which is I'm so
Absolutely.
excited to hear from you. But at this time I'll let you have the floor to tell your
Thank you.
story with all of us.
Okay. Well,
All right.
thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I would have thought I was
Yeah.
going to the damn Grammys. Anyway, my name is Hayley. I am a grateful recovering alcoholic and addict. I live in Washington, D.C. Um, I was thinking about this whole thing tonight, and I thought it was like so odd. I feel like anybody can drink, so I don't want to focus too much on how I drank, but I will give a little bit of backstory up until what wound me up in recovery.
Okay.
I am from an American military family. I was adopted. Um, my parents divorced really early in life, like so early that I'm not even clear on what age it was, but it was very early. So my sister and I and my mom were kind of, we grew up a little fast. We were strong girls. My mom gave us everything, even when we couldn't afford it. But she worked a lot, and my sister and I were thick as thieves, and we still are. And we had to learn how to take care of ourselves. And
Hmm.
I think when I look back at things, I start realizing all those isms that I displayed really early in life. At 5, I was lying, I was cheating, I was
Hmm.
stealing, all these things that I didn't really understand or care to want to understand. But I started displaying signs of like manipulation.
Yeah.
And I could do something wrong. My mom could see me do it, and I would lie right to her face and tell her that I didn't do it. And
Hmm.
I look back at those things, and I realize that I was definitely gonna have some problems later in life. Um, I got a little bit older, and I was in grade school, and like I said, we had a really good childhood. I went to a really good school, but I definitely noticed that I was a little bit different. All the girls there had moms that were PTA moms that would come bring the class cupcakes and be at all the school events. And my mom was active duty. She couldn't come to those things. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely kind of acknowledged very early that I was a little bit different. I looked a little bit different than all the suburban girls there. I was treated a little bit different. I was always attracted to these very preppy white kids, and they were never attracted back to me because, that was really the only pick that we had there. And they were never really attracted back to me because they wanted like the pretty, white girl. And, I was very in tune with the fact that like, I didn't know why I was different, but I knew that something was a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that feeling different and feeling out of place just followed me like everywhere. Every opportunity I had as I was getting older, I was looking for all the ways why I was different, and that made me want to do everything it took to fit in. I could never find a similarity between me and someone else. I only had to change myself to be the exact same way as that person. I found my identity in anyone that I associated with. If they were a punk, I was a punk. If they were a little hood, I was hood. I was born in DC, I can be hood too. Like I never knew who I was because I didn't care to learn who I was. So as I got older, I ended up moving in with my dad, and my dad worked really hard and he traveled a lot. And I exploited that to the best of my ability. I partied 24/7 in his home. And, I was just a really not very good, student or daughter. And I noticed that as my friends were partying, they would stop and they would still make it to their courses. They would still make it to class. They'd still make it to their driving test. They would still make it to ace their test. I had I look back now and I no even like concern about my future. Nothing in my head was like, Hayley, what about the SATs? Hayley, what about college? Hayley, what about getting a job? What about your future? Mm-hmm. I always thought that Daddy would get me out of it, that one of my friend's parents who was in law enforcement would get me out of it, and that when my parents died, I'd be set for the rest of my life, so I didn't need to do anything. And that was such a fucked up thing I actually thought that. I actually did not care what I did because someone was always going to get me out of it, and I didn't need to have any accountability for anything I did. And you know what? You guys got divorced when I was younger. You guys did this. Everything was everyone else's fault. I did everything was you. I was angry at the world and I was resentful, and you were going to hear about it. Not only were you going to hear about it, I was going to make your life hell. I was going to make my life hell, and I was going to destroy everything around me. And that's how I lived. I would say my entire adolescence. I have no idea the pain and the hurt that I put my parents through. Like, I don't even want to know, because that's how explosive I was. I was a hurricane. I was emotionally unstable. I was not doing well in my studies. I was constantly causing worry and concern. I would, lash out about suicidal ideations, when I had no intention of doing so. I just wanted any attention possible. And I was a really angry person because I never decided to look within and figure out what was going on. By nothing short of a miracle, I made it to adulthood. And this is kind of where the story draws out a little bit, because this is kind of where things picked up. I never went to school after high school. My friends were going to like Georgetown and like all these bomb ass fucking schools, and I was just going to community college and like doing my thing, working at bars. Oh my God, I did so much dumb shit working in bars. Every drug, every drink you can imagine is there. My dad is listening to this. I'm sorry, but like I just did a lot of things that were not cool. But I was also very naive too, because that's when things started picking up. That's when I started seeing dope for the first time and thinking he really did have diabetes. Like, that was my thing. I wanted to hang out and be hard, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I would get so far and over my head with these situations that that is a nice hat. I would get so far into these situations that I would make every excuse once everything hit the fan and consequences really started coming down, that, I was in trouble. I had a problem. Why won't anyone help me? So now this self-pity is just evolving. It's not only just like angry now. It's like, okay, well, now I have a problem and no one's helping me. Like, help me. Like, and it was just, I literally was a cyclone of destruction my entire 20s. And then I somewhere along the line, I got my shit together. I got a good job in administration. I found a man, a guy that loved me. At least, he was my stars and moon and everything I ever felt,
Mm-hmm.
not fitting in, not having to try too hard. My parents not understanding me, all the resentments, all the fears, all
Yeah.
the shit, that happened during my active addiction. Because there were a lot of things that happened in my active addiction that were very traumatic, things that never should have happened. And as far as I was
Mm-hmm.
concerned, when those things happened, I shoved them deep down. I had that military mentality. And to me, that was me being like everyone else in my family. It was like, they're stoic, they're strong, and so am I. Like, I've always been the
Mm-hmm.
emotional one. No one could ever really relate to me in my family because I was just off the rails emotional. I felt everything, from an
Mm-hmm.
early age up until now. And, you know, I honestly thought that when these things happened, and I pushed them down and I closed the chapter on them, that I had really left them behind me. I mean, I didn't think about them. I didn't dream about them. I didn't talk about them. Nothing. They were, as far as I was concerned, it never happened, and I moved on.
Mm-hmm.
So all those feelings that I had just been drinking and drugging away, were still very much there when I met my son's father. And
Mm-hmm.
here was this man who was going to save me from all those things, all those feelings of inadequacy and all those feelings of shame and regret and feeling like I had wasted my life. Like, here's a guy that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, and we're going to have a family and everything's great. And things were great, but I can't even say that they slowly turned toxic. They turned toxic pretty quickly. There was, a lot of emotional, psychological, and physical abuse that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would be isolated on my own. There was always a reason why I couldn't go hang out with someone. I couldn't do this. I couldn't see my family. I couldn't do that. I had to move away from my family. I had to get away from this. There's always a reason why I wasn't comfortable with this or that, and that it just wasn't a good situation to be in. And I had no one at the end of the day. I was isolated from everyone around me, yet this person still went off and did their thing, and I, no
Mm-hmm.
questions asked, nothing. But this was my life now. My identity now was being like, being a girlfriend, being this guy's girlfriend. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have any identity. I didn't know myself. This is who I am now. I got pregnant, with my son, who's now 6. He's the greatest
Mm-hmm.
thing ever. He's so fantastic. And, my pregnancy was completely uneventful, but when I had my son, I had something called a postpartum hemorrhage. It happens in about 1 out of 5 pregnancies. And it's basically when your uterus doesn't stop contracting. TMI, I'm sorry, but and you end up just like hemorrhaging all over the place. So when I delivered my son, I bled quite a bit. So much, in fact, that I was put under and had to go into potential blood transfusion and emergency
Mm-hmm.
surgery
Yeah.
to stop the bleeding. And, in that moment in the delivery room, I looked at my son's father, who was holding my son, and I could feel myself slipping away.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel like my spirit leaving my body, because I was just, and I mean, it was a chaos. I mean, they called it code hemorrhage. Every nurse on the floor flooded the room. My family was kicked out. I mean, it was chaos. And I just felt so much peace. And even though I felt like I was slipping away and I was going to die, I saw my son, and it was just, there was this immense amount of love,
Mm-hmm.
like love that you can't even describe. And I was okay with leaving, knowing that I got to see him. And, I tell this very personal and obviously very emotional story because bad things happen that you can't control. Terrible, terrible things happen. And even after that, I would look at myself in the mirror with disgust when I was drinking and when I was doing stupid stuff. And I'd be like, Hayley, you almost lost your life bringing your son into this world, and God gave you a second chance. Why are you killing yourself slowly with this? How could you do this after everything you went through to bring him into this world and get a chance to raise him? And it just fueled my addiction even more. That shame and that
Yeah.
guilt and that why are you doing this?
Mhm.
Just riddled my mind and my spirit, you know? And, you know, obviously I made it on the other side. They didn't have to do an emergency hysterectomy or anything. I stopped bleeding. And then 11 days after that, my ass goes and gets fucking cancer. So I get diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma 11 days after I had my son.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I underwent 6 months of chemotherapy after that. And that was all when my son was a month old, you know?
Mhm.
And I made it through all of that. And I still wound up where I wound up, you know? Like I got a second chance at my son's delivery when I wouldn't stop bleeding. I got a diagnosis that wasn't a death sentence when I got cancer when he was a month old, and I made it through that. And you know, it was just the funniest thing. I had like a ball. I got wigs, but I never wore them because they're so uncomfortable. And I would like strap them to my chest in the baby Bjorn and like hit Costco, and he had like more hair than I did. It was just like staring. And you know, I just I did everything that you would normally. I wanted to be a mom so bad. This was like the thing that I was like, the thing that I didn't fuck up, that I was good at. Like Hayley fucked up everything else in her life. She fucked up school. She fucked up like everything, her relationships, but like she's a good mom. She's a great mom. And that was my identity. My family was my identity. Fast forward, my son's father decided to, you know, do something with a friend of mine while I was going through my pregnancy and chemo, and that, you know, crushed me. It crushed me. You know, there goes my identity that I had. This was like the one thing I was holding on to, was like the mom and the wifey role, right? And now I have like no identity whatsoever. I'm just like, okay, like where do I? Obviously, it's tumultuous. It's tumultuous because I'm reeling, but I have this infant that I'm going through all this trial and custody and all these hearings. I mean, so much money I spent in and out of court with this man, and so much time and energy. It was just insane. And all this time I have all these things that I've just held on to and never addressed that are just bubbling up to my chest. And somehow once everything settles down and the dust settles, I get back on track with life. I feel like I'm good. I feel like I'm fine. And life begins again for Hayley. After son's father is no longer in the picture. Life begins again. And I think I just spent so long pushing everything down that when it was just me and my son and no one else around, and my son would go to sleep or I'd be on my own, you know, I live with just my son and I, that I didn't have anything to distract me from everything that I had pushed down and all the pain I was holding on to, all the resentments, all the fears. And I buried myself in work. You know, I was an executive assistant for a national company, and I buried myself in work. I kept myself busy. I got all the accolades professionally. I mean, I did the damn thing. I did everything with my son, but I noticed that I started drinking before I went to go drink. And I don't mean like your pregame before you hit the bars. I mean, I was going to my girlfriend's house for charcuterie, and I would be blasting through those little like wine bottles, like those mini, and I would do all the things that the big book tells you, you know. I mean, they're just little wine bottles. I'm not drinking liquor. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have a problem. So I'm drinking like a lot more than I thought I would. And I'm a lot more fun. I'm having more fun. I'm doing more stuff. I'm outgoing. Like I have all the energy in the world. Then my drinking starts affecting my performance at work. So I go to my doctor and I get a prescription for Adderall. And I'm like, boom, now I can drink all day long and still do all my damn shit. And no one can say a damn thing because I was just amped up. Then when you're drinking all day long and you're popping Addies, what do you have to do to come back down? Oh, I need a prescription for benzos. So now I'm drinking, I'm taking Adderall, I'm coming down with Xanax at night, and it's just the same cycle again over and over every single day. And I didn't even know it had gotten so bad. I mean, because my family, I guess I thought I was hot shit. I thought I was slick. I thought no one was any of the wiser. But apparently everyone knew, and everyone was hella concerned around me, you know? And I was like, I don't really understand what your fucking problem is. I still do everything. All my bills are paid. Like, I just got a new truck. Like, I don't know. You know, I was in so much, that was the insanity of my disease, is everyone, I would look at people looking at me, and I would look at them like, what the fuck are you looking at? Because the fear that they had in their eyes, like, when is she gonna wake up and realize that she has a problem? Like, when is something going to happen where Hayley reaches the point where we can't fix this for her? And when I decided that I might have a problem, you know, I told my boyfriend at the time, I think I might have a problem with alcohol, but I have no idea how I would know. So I went to a couple AA meetings. I went drunk, of course. And there was one that I actually lashed out in. I was sitting in the meeting, and I had no idea what AA was. And there was a gal talking. She was this little white girl, and she was talking about how she was just under so much pressure with all of her college essays. And my dumbass stands up, and I said, are we supposed to be able to relate to you? Why are you talking? Because I was drunk, and I was angry, and I was an asshole. But I thought that I knew everything. And everyone was so sweet to me. They just looked at me, and they were like, we're so glad you're here. And I was like, get the fuck away from me. You guys are crazy. I'm out of here. And I left. And I came back one weekend. I went back to the same meeting, and I apologized for my behavior. And I said, you know, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be here. Like, I just wanted to check this out. And the woman next to me said, well, you know, no one that doesn't have an alcohol problem just finds their way to AA. And I got so pissy. I was like, this woman doesn't know me. I haven't been to jail. I haven't lost my child. You know, I haven't lost my job. Like, she doesn't know me. Like, what does she know? So I leave before the meeting ends, because I have no etiquette and know anything about the program yet. And I mean, the next 6 months were a blur. I would go to bars when my son has visitation with his father every other weekend. And when he wasn't there, I was so lonely. I had the worst time adjusting to when my son was not with me. I would go to bars, and I'd say, oh, I'm going to pick up sushi next door. So I'm just going to get a couple shots of Jameson. I don't have any liquor at the house. Like, I'm just going to be feeling good. I don't have knocks. Like, I'm going to do my thing. Like, hey, I'm thriving. I'm good. And I would be there till 2:00 in the morning on a Thursday night. And I would go to work the next day, still drunk, in the boardroom, talking to 5 executives, looking awful, I'm sure. And I did that for like a year and a half. And then I tried to stop drinking on my own. I tried to stop, and I did not realize when I tried to stop that I was physically fucking dependent on it. That is the insanity. It's like, I'm going to stop. And I got so ill, and I got so anxious. I thought I was having a heart attack. I was having palpitations. I was hallucinating. I was having actual withdrawals from alcohol. And I did not think that I had a problem. I thought that I just needed to chill. No, I had a problem.
Yeah.
And at the height of it, right before I left for rehab, I was drinking from the morning I got up to the moment I went to bed. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and I'd help myself to more alcohol to go back to sleep, and pop a couple Xanny bars at the same time. And then I'd get up the next day. I would bring my kid to school. I would go to the office. I'd drink at my desk. I'd drink in my car. I would drink after work. I would drink, pop Adderall, drink all day long. And when I tried to stop, that is when I realized I had a physical dependency on alcohol, and that I could not do it on my own. And that was hard. And I told, my dad, I said, I think, I don't really know what my relationship is with alcohol right now, but I don't think, and he's like, yeah, I know you do. And I've been worried about you. And I had no idea. I thought I was very slick and I was good. I would show up at his house blacked out, have no recollection of being there, bringing him pie. I'd have a full car full of groceries. My boyfriend would say the same thing. He's like, you know, you function completely normally. Like, you will put your son to bed, you will read him a book, you'll put him in the tub, you'll make dinner from scratch, and you'll roll over the next morning and you'll have no recollection of it. He's like, I can't watch you, I can't protect you because I don't know when you're fucked up. And that was the insanity. Like, and that was my rationale. Well, I do all these things, so I don't have a problem, you know? And it was so bad. I caused so much concern and so much worry, and it was all about me. I'm dealing with this. This is my problem. You guys don't have to deal with this, so I don't want to hear you bitching about it when all they wanted to do was help me to get better, you know? And I suffered like that for a long time. And then, you know, I did the famous foxhole prayer where I just broke down. I hit my knees and I said, God, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. I will lose everything. And it wouldn't have been long for me to lose everything. I would have lost everything real quick. And, you know, I did some research. I got online and I found a place down in South Florida. It was fantastic. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention them while I'm doing this, but they were amazing. If anybody is struggling with understanding their relationship with addiction, I would certainly recommend this facility. I checked myself into detox. I got super fucked up on the way there because I was terrified. I was having like a nervous breakdown, and I was terrified all the way. Oh, I lost my wallet and my passport and my security in transit. That's how drunk I was on the flight. In the middle of the pandemic, I called in and I told them I had to take a leave of absence. So it was nice I got paid while it's gone. And I brought my ass to rehab, and it was the scariest thing ever. I was like, what am I doing here? These people are crazy. Like, I mean, you name it. I was so not okay with the situation I was in. And 13 days in, it took me 13 goddamn days there to realize that there was no difference between me and the girl that, you know, is turning tricks and shooting dope and smoking like speedballing it every day. Like, there was no difference between me and that girl sitting across from me. Not a single difference in the world. And you know what? She's my friend. We are friends because we went through the same experience together. And as long as she stays clean and she does what she needs to do, I'm always going to be here for her. I'll always be here to support her recovery because that's what we do in recovery. You know, she's gone back out a couple times, but she's coming back around. And like, it's wild. If you had told me 4 months ago that I would have brought my ass down to South Florida and gone to rehab, and when I went there, I thought I just needed a reset button. I thought all I needed to do was have a quick reset, and I was going to get my shit together. I went to rehab to learn how to drink better. I did not go there thinking that I was I went there to be like, how do I keep my shit together so I can get my family off my ass? You know, and so I don't lose my job the way I support my son and I had no idea until I had to do that damn timeline shit where you like start talking about like all your history. It took 13 days for it to click and for me to be like, I'm an addict and I'm an alcoholic. Every time I've ever put a mood or mind altering substance in my body, I've been like, ooh, I like that. And I've never ever been the person that could just do it a couple times on the weekends when they tried it. I always went balls to the wall. Like, every time I tried anything, I went so hard where it like scared people. And I was like, yo, like, if I didn't think I was an addict and alcoholic just because I had these small little windows of looking halfway decent and keeping my shit a little bit together before it really got unmanageable and I had become powerless over my addiction, I don't know what I was thinking. My mind was blown. I was just like, oh my God. Like, I couldn't like see straight. I was like grabbing walls and shit. I was like, I don't know. I did it. Like, it was a fucking moment. It was crazy. And I was like, okay, well now what the fuck do I do? And everything else just kind of fell into place. Once and they say all you need is a little bit of crack, like a little bit of crack in the darkness that you're in. And I was in the darkness.
Yeah.
People in rehab were talking about how they hated what they saw when they looked in the mirror back at them. And I didn't look in the fucking mirror. I stopped looking in the mirror because I couldn't stand the sight of myself. I was so ashamed that I could not drink like normal people, and that I had chosen to live this way and sacrifice everything I had worked hard for in this beautiful child that needed me. I was so fucking ashamed that I ever did this to him or myself. My parent, I was born to a 15-year-old woman and a 19-year-old man in Washington, D.C. And 2 Army officers picked me up from Catholic Charities and brought me home. I was given so many opportunities that I never would have had otherwise. And I pissed it all away because I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to listen to nobody. And I felt like I was always the victim. And I love everybody. Why won't everybody love me the same way they love me, or that I love them, right? Yeah. Poor me.
Yeah.
And it all just like clicked. Like, I am my problem. Everyone goes through some fucked up shit. I've been through some traumatic shit, but I chose to deal with my problems the way that I chose to deal with them. And it was my responsibility to be accountable for that and make it better and put a stop to that shit. Because I deserve better. I went to rehab to get my family off my ass and to be a better mom. And I walked out for me. When they told me I needed to stay for 30 days when I thought my ass was going to be there for 14, I asked my daddy. I about lost my shit. Called him like, oh, hell no. They had to get 3 dudes in there to calm my ass down. And that's because it was so hard for me to understand that this was real. I didn't just come down to hit the reset button. My relationship with alcohol and substances were that I could have no relationship with alcohol and substances. I have no defense against the first drink. The first drink, what is it? The first drink is it's one drink is.
Oh yeah.
One drink is too many, and a million drinks is never
not enough. Yeah.
And that is me. I don't understand people that can have 1 glass of wine or what the fuck is half a glass of wine at dinner?
I know.
If I'm not obliterated, if I am not saying stupid shit and acting wild, then I don't want to go out. And that is not normal. That's the insanity of my disease, thinking that was fun, that was cute, and I was just living my best life. No, I was suffering, and I was making everyone else around me suffer too. And it took so long to see that. And it took so long for me to learn how to forgive myself, because I hated myself. I hated myself for all the times I should have died drinking and driving, all the times I should have been locked up that I wasn't, all the times that I had put myself in risky situation after risky situation after risky situation as a woman. I was so ashamed of everything I had put my family through. And it took a really long time for me to learn how to forgive myself. My therapist started giving me all these bullshit ass assignments that I thought were some child's play. What would be the possibilities if you loved yourself unconditional? I'm like, what the fuck is my insurance paying you for? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I know why, because I hated myself. I loathed myself, and it was stopping me from really recovering. Because if I didn't feel like I was worth it and my life was worth it, I was not going to stay sober or clean. I was going to relapse.
Yeah.
Until I honestly believed that I was worthy of recovery, worthy of happy, healthy love, worthy of that I was enough for anything. I was going nowhere fast. And I am just so grateful to this recovery community, this program, everybody I've met. Again, if you told me 4 months ago that I'd be really good friends with a dude that got locked up for shooting some dude in the club and then set some dude on fire in his cell while he was locked up, that now drives a V12 fucking Benz and owns 3 businesses, that I would be friends with this man, I would say you were insane. But that's my brother in recovery. He's my family. Alika, you're my family. We're in this together. And every single, my mind is blown by how much like emotional regulation I have now. Like I would fucking blow my top over anything. You look at me the wrong way, you come at me the wrong way. It's, I don't know who the fuck you think you're talking to, but I'm not the one. And it's like, none of that was me. That wasn't me. That was just like my disease making me like puff my chest up when I'd be around men looking for validation that I didn't need to get, that I thought I needed. I would just chameleon to whatever someone needed.
Yeah.
Like that was the insanity of my disease, is that I would just put so much effort into making that life of addiction work. And it was so exhausting. The lies I had to tell, the sorries I had to tell, the just severing fucking relationships because I didn't want to do either of those, and just never talk to that person again. I mean, it was devastating. I mean, I was a whirlwind of destruction, and I can't apologize to people anymore. The only thing I can do is stay here in this place, put in the work, and make recovery my priority. And the way I treat people, my higher power has me treating people, is how I make that up. My relationships with people is how I make my actions, not my words, but my actions, how I treat people, how I treat myself. You know, that's where I'm at right now. And I would never change anything. Everything I've been through, the ugly, the really, really dark, the really, really I don't know the word, just the really bad stuff that never should have happened to anyone. I honestly would not change it for the world, because I now have a place where I can help other people, and it's made me into the woman that I am now. And, you know, I thank God every day that I'm sitting here and that I'm able to tell my story, because, you know, there's only 3 outcomes for addicts like us. It's jail, institutions, and death. And you know what? You don't get to choose which one it is. You don't get to fucking choose. My parents probably would have loved to see me, you know, in jail or, you know, rehab, because that meant that I wasn't going to be dead. And people don't have that option. You don't get to choose. So that's where I'm at, and I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing, man. I'm glad you're here. You know, I never got to hear your whole story before. And it's just amazing, because the majority of stories I've heard since I've been sober, it's like, man, I crashed my car, I got divorced, I lost my job, I became homeless, I was living on the streets, blah blah. Like, but your story was a little bit different. You never actually had to get to the point where you got to lose everything, and then you're like, oh, but you know, so it was just, you only been sober for 4 months, is that correct?
Yes, 4 months.
Yeah, you know, like
the longest since I've been pregnant.
Yeah. So, like, you know, you mentioned something though. I mean, because it's amazing. I don't meet too many people, just me personally. I know that they exist, but I have not met too many people that's been sober for 4 months that talk like you, that think like you. And that, to me, that tells me that you're doing the work. You know, like you talked about doing the work. And I mean, like we cannot get sober by just not doing anything. You know what I mean? Thinking about doing the work is not doing the work. But you know, I don't know if it's different for everybody, I guess. But I don't know if it's because like it doesn't hurt enough for somebody to make a move and try to get honest with themselves. You know, I say this all the time about me. The hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life is become honest with Alika. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And everything that you shared, I could identify with everything. The feelings, the things that you did. You know, it's so exhausting, like telling all these lies. And you gotta remember who you told them to. And you gotta do this and do that. Blah, blah, blah. And just the physical toll we put on our bodies. You know, from drinking and drugging, just pumping our body full of chemicals, you know, and everything. I mean, man, I'm so excited. Like, I want to go work out now, you know, right after this, man. It's just, and I love recovery, man. I love it. Like how you said, like, I don't even know you. You don't even know me. I don't even know so much people on social media, but it's like I do. You know what I mean? Like, we know each other. It's like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but this life of being sober in recovery is just indescribably wonderful, that I could go to the other side of the planet and meet somebody in recovery. Bam, we're going to hit it off like that. guaranteed,
Yep.
you know? And it's just amazing. Like, see, when I first got into the rooms, because being born and raised in Hawaii, we're very like we have a lot of love for people. We're very nice and friendly, and like we like to hug people and all this stuff. And when I came into the rooms, I seen everybody doing that. I was like, oh, this is right up my alley. You know, it wasn't people like all grouchy and mad and this and that. Everybody was smiling and laughing and hugging, and I felt very welcome and
Hmm.
everything. But I'm not. I mean, they told me focus on the similarities, not the differences. I mean,
Right.
I think it was like my second meeting I heard that, and I continue to hear it. And I'm glad I learned that because with my way of thinking brand new, I would have been like, Hayley, she's a girl, I'm a boy. She lives in DC, but I'm from Hawaii. Like that would have closed my mind to hearing how you thought, how you felt, the things you did, and I wouldn't be able to identify and receive like your story, your experience, strength, and hope, you know, things like that. That's amazing, man. I'm so glad you're here. I definitely gotta have you back on, and I'm gonna start doing like topics, you know, on different things like
Absolutely.
recovery wise and everything, because it's recovery based, but I kind of want to keep it like that too. But anyways, so may I ask you some questions now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. Okay. So the first one is, what aspects of your life have changed in sobriety?
Um, I'd say for the most part, I have changed emotionally.
Mm.
Obviously, I've changed physically because I just feel better. I look better. But
Uh-huh.
emotionally, I just have this like absurd amount of emotional regulation. I
Yeah.
have this ability to not just be catastrophic with it. I mean, when I came back from a treatment, the election was going on, the whole world was losing their minds,
Yeah.
everyone. And I was just like,
Yeah.
none of it even phased me. I was like, it's not in my control. I can only accept the things I have to accept the things I cannot change, and I have
Yes.
to put everything else at the door. And it's just like, that happened. I lost my job in October, and I thought I was going to lose my shit, and I didn't. I was like, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm going to pick up where I left off. This is a second act. This is a whole new chapter of my life. Now I'm in
Uh-huh.
recovery. This is a gift. Like I was like scared at like how emotionally stable I was when I got into
Yeah.
recovery. I was just and I can't say that. And also an aspect of my life is that I I never let myself feel anything. I hated feeling things, and that's why I used.
Hmm.
I didn't like feeling happy because it always led to anxiety about when something bad was going to happen, which isn't
Uh-huh.
normal. I didn't like feeling sad because I just don't like feeling sad. I didn't like feeling anxious, uncomfortable, and now I'm able to sit in my feelings. And I don't have
Hmm.
my anesthesia anymore. I don't have drink or drug to make them go away. Now I'm able to sit in them and honor them, acknowledge that they're there. And it
Hmm.
sucks having to sit in your feelings sometimes, but it's
Yeah.
so empowering to do
Yes.
something that you haven't done for the better part of 20 years. I'm 34.
Yeah.
I've been drinking and doing drugs since I was like 16. So, I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's like I've never been able to just sit in my feelings and then come out on the other side of them and be like, I'm okay. I'm
Hmm.
I'm okay. And that is
Yeah.
so empowering and so important in recovery, because the second you feel something uncomfortable and your sponsor tells you to lean into being uncomfortable, you want to slap her across the face. But you have to, and you feel like you've actually really accomplished something, because you have. It's not
Hmm.
tangible, but you have accomplished something, and
Hmm.
you feel so good, and you don't know when you're going to feel better, but you wake up one day and that shitty feeling is gone. And that's what
Yeah.
happens to normal people that don't drink and drug every day, all day, like I was. You feel things and they go away, and life goes on, and it's
Yeah.
incredible. Something so
Yeah.
simple is so incredible.
You know, I could relate to you. Again, you started talking, like, the more you talk, the more I can relate with you. It's amazing. Um, because, you know, like you, I was totally emotionally unstable. Like, the only emotion I really loved to show was anger. Was anger. You know, I would get the littlest thing could set me off. Just the
Hmm.
tiniest, don't have to be big at all. And then, you know, I just get set off. And then when I got into recovery, like, I noticed, like, in the beginning, it's the hardest to feel everything. And then you got to learn how to respond correctly, I guess. But what I
Right.
found out is the longer I responded correctly to my emotions, the easier the decisions got, the easier it got. But like if I start, kind of doing the opposite, then, I'll kind of start going back this way, kind of
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, what would you say is the hardest part about being in recovery?
The hardest part about being in recovery for me was the first step, which is admitting that I was powerless over my
Yeah.
addiction and that my life had become unmanageable.
Mhm.
That I have to do step one every day I wake up. I have to remind myself that I am an alcoholic and I am an addict, and that
Mhm.
my first line of defense against a trigger or anything is that I have to reprogram my brain and my thought. Reprogramming all the intrusive thoughts that come in, the negative self-talk, the
Mhm.
shame, the depression, the anxiety, the guilt. I have to literally work every day, but it feels good to remind myself that those are the things that kept me sick for a really long time, and that I have to let them go. When something
Uh-huh.
happens, journal about it. When something upsets me, talk about it with my sponsor or someone else in my sober support network. Like, the hardest part, which isn't even that hard, is learning new ways to cope, because
Yeah.
I haven't had any of those skills for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I just, it's invaluable. I mean, my relationships with people are just incredible now. There's
Yeah.
no effort, and it's because I know how to cope now. I know how to cope with, I know how to be empathetic. I know how to get out of
Yeah.
myself and think about someone else. I
Yeah.
know how to realize that someone's actions have nothing to fucking do with me. It's only about them, but in my old way of thinking before I sought recovery, it was, this is my fault. What did I do? I need to do something different. Why did this person do this to me? Why was I treated like that? Like, it was just, and it's the insanity, just like, and over the silliest stuff.
Yeah.
And that is the hardest part, and it's the simplest thing. And that's why this is a simple program for addicts and alcoholics that we make complicated, because we are complicated people by nature. And you know what? I'm embracing it. It sucks sometimes, but it's
Mhm.
like, it's fun to get to know yourself again. Like, I finally feel like I was a stranger in my own body for a while, and now I feel like I finally know me again, and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
That's awesome. Okay, so the next question is, how has your family dynamic changed, and what do they think about your recovery journey?
Um, my family is so supportive, like
Yeah.
outrageously supportive. Even in my active addiction, no one ever turned their back on me. No one ever didn't want to just talk with me. No one ever wanted to ignore me, because they
Mhm.
worried and they
Yeah.
loved me. But now I'm just constantly told how proud they are of me. I'm told that I'm present, that there's just this aura about me, this energy that I
Mhm.
have now, or when I'm communicating, and I'm just more present. Um, I'm more there. I'm not a million other places
Mhm.
on top of this aggressive, like, this aggressive person that's in front of
Yeah.
me. Even when
Yeah.
things were good and we were joking, I was still just always aggressive and always just like,
Mhm.
um, my family, I just feel so close. I've never seen my dad smile so much.
Mhm.
My dad is very military, very strong, very, very stoic individual. And I've never heard him so happy. And
Mhm.
the fact that I was able to, it makes me sad sometimes that I didn't see that smile because I was making him worry and lose sleep at night. But it makes me feel good that he loved me that much. And it makes me feel good that, I'm able to kind of restore that component in our family that was that elephant in the room.
Mhm.
My old way of thinking was, they all have their own problems. Why are they worried about me? And it's like, well, because I chose to deal with my problems in a way that affected everyone. This disease of addiction affects everyone around you,
Yes. Everyone.
everyone. And I didn't want to see it. I didn't care, because I'm the one that had to deal with this, and they can
Mhm.
all worry about themselves, but that's not how it works. And I'm just
Yeah.
very fortunate. I'm very lucky. I love my family to death, and they love me too, and they couldn't be happier, because they knew I deserved it. They knew I could do it, and they knew I deserved this quality of life.
Yeah. That's good. That sounds like you had a really good support system, which I believe is really important when somebody's first trying to get sober. Because active in my addiction, I learned that my presence never made me present. Like, even though I'm physically there, I'm really not. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the next question is, how do you feel, or what was your philosophy on being public with your recovery journey?
So I struggled with this for a while. I was like, okay, well, I need to find another job. Do I want to come out with this? Like, I was drinking every day, all day. My philosophy is that there's so much stigma involved with addiction. There's so much,
Mhm.
and I mean, a stigma that affects everything. What people think about addicts,
Uh-huh.
what addicts think about other addicts. I mean, it's just like we're not all in jumpsuits, and we're not all locked up, and we're not all
Hmm.
losing everything around us. Some
Hmm.
of us don't have a hard bottom, and some of us don't have, it doesn't all look the same. And
Yeah.
I wanted to be a face. I've always wanted to use my face to do something because I have eyes that are just like bulging out of my head. I wanted to be a face of someone that you see every single day and that still does the damn thing, still goes to all the soccer games, still goes to practices, still goes to the office every day, still, has a good social life, still has everything at her fingertips, but she is in the shadows drinking and popping pills and
Hmm.
suffering in silence. And I don't know
Right.
why I felt compelled to be that face, but I feel like it happens so much, and that people are afraid of what other people think, and people are
Mhm.
afraid to seek help because it's scary, A, and B, because they're afraid of judgment. And I'm in a place where I don't fucking care what anyone thinks about me. I don't care if you think that I'm not a good mom because of things I've done in the past. I don't care, because I know that I am a good mom, and that I'm a good mom
Mhm.
now, and that I will continue to be a good mom. And I want people to know that they don't have to be afraid, and that you can see me every single day, and maybe just check in with your friends that you see every single day and ask them if they're all right. Maybe if you notice erratic behavior, or them changing or becoming a little more isolated, ask them if they're okay. Share my
Mhm.
story. So you remember Hayley from high school? Turns out she was a closet alcoholic and addict.
Mhm.
I want to be that person, because if that helps anyone else who's questioning their relationship with substance abuse, who would be afraid to come and say something to anyone otherwise. I come from a very military conservative family. Like, this is
Mhm.
not something that we do. And they were hella support. I was afraid of the judgment. I was afraid of my mom being disappointed and having the family know. I was terrified. But guess what? That's not worth staying sick over or dying over, because that's what we're doing. We are dying. I was dying inside, and I
Yeah.
was killing myself as well. And that is my
Mhm.
philosophy. Fuck everyone else that doesn't understand. If you do relate and you can
Yeah.
understand and I can help, I want to do that.
That's awesome. You're basically talking about the stigma. Like, look, Alex got a good comment. She wrote, "Break the silence. Keep speaking your truth. Recover out loud. Recovering out loud saves lives." I totally agree.
Absolutely.
This is just my opinion on the stigma. I think why there is a stigma attached to addiction, it's just simply because, out of ignorance. That's it. People just, they're unaware, they're uninformed. That's all. Some
Absolutely.
people, it's easier to judge somebody than to go kind of take the time to go do their homework or research on why people behave this way and drink and use like that. That's just my take on it, though. But okay, last question. Um, what would you say to someone struggling with addiction or their relationship with substance abuse?
I would say to anyone who's struggling with addiction or substance abuse, their relationship with substance abuse, that if you have to question it, if you have to ask yourself if you have a problem with it, the harsh reality is that you probably do. You most likely do.
Mhm.
um, and if you acknowledge it, if you have that awareness is so powerful. It's scary, but it's so powerful. If you have that awareness to stop and pause and say, I may have a problem, then you have that tiny little crack in the darkness that can bring in the light of recovery and can give you the push you need. If you reach out to someone and say, either myself, Alika, someone else on this forum, any of these platforms, and say, I am so overwhelmed with the thought of trying to get into recovery or get better. I don't know where to start and I don't know what to do, but all I know is I can't do this anymore, because that was me on left
Mhm.
to my own devices and didn't know what the hell I was doing. If you can bring yourself to do that, then you are going to go so far, and you can have the happiness and get over the anxiety and the depression and the shame and the guilt and anything else that comes along with whatever the issue with your substance use is. If you feel like you don't want to do it anymore and you can't do it anymore, you have to do something about it. And it's hard to think about how to go about that on your own. So reach out, tell someone. It doesn't matter what time zone you're in, what state you're in, what time of the day it is. If you reach out to any stranger or any person you may know that's in recovery, you will be swarmed with love and welcoming and exactly the path that you need to go. The first time I put up my page for recovery, I put up a resource that I had used for going to meetings. And I said, look, I'm not affiliated with this platform at all, but this has been a lifesaver in quarantine because everything in DC is shut down. I can't go to in-person meetings. And I had a gentleman, oh my God, I love him to death, total stranger, don't even know who he is, but he told me that he went to a meeting and he said, I don't know where to start, but I know I can't do this anymore. He said he went to a meeting, he downloaded the app, he went to a meeting online, he went, and I said, look, if you're going to try to stop drinking on your own, it can be really, really difficult. You need to talk to your doctor, but you can do it. And oh my God, Dad, I love you too. You're going to make me cry. Don't make me cry on this, Daddy. He said he went to the ER because I told him to see his doctor and I said, be completely honest. Do not try to sugarcoat it. Tell them that you want to stop using and that you're going to try to detox and you need whatever the seizure medication, you need whatever's going to take if you can't afford to be monitored during that portion. He went to the ER. He found a sponsor at the virtual meeting that lives in a completely different state. And he said, I just want you to know that you saved my life. I don't know who you are, but you saved my life because last night I did not want to live. And I was there. I understood. I knew that feeling and not knowing where to go and just like that hope shot of just reaching out to a stranger on social media because they knew maybe there was a glimmer of something that was a better way. And I can't even explain that feeling, but and that's not something I share because I'm a saint and I help people. No, that is what recovery is about. It's about saving lives and helping each other because we are good people. I'm a good person. I do good things. I thought I was a great person during active addiction because I did nice things, charitable things, great things. We're not bad people. We just are suffering, and it's wild. We say epidemic and pandemic all day long, and there's one going on with drugs and addiction every single day. And all the people, the special, sensitive, artistic, brilliant people that have these minds that are so open that get taken a hold of this disease is just so heartbreaking. But I get it because I was one of those people. And that's what I say to the newcomer is you can have the life that you never thought you could have if you let one of us help you. And that's what it's about. You can't do it on your own. Trust me. Some people can, but you can't. It's not.
We don't recover alone. You said something that is so true because addicts, alcoholics, this is part of the ignorance that's connected to the stigma. See, addicts and alcoholics, we're not bad people trying to get good. We're sick people trying to get well. Right. We really are. I totally agree. But this has been great, man. I kind of wish we could go on for another hour. But because so much people are saying things. I don't know how to go back and read them. Honestly, there's a lot of comments.
I was just thinking that. I was like, how do we review it?
Honestly, I don't know. But you talked about a lot of different things. You just said something that made me think of this disease of addiction. Last year in 2019, 760,000 people died as a direct result of this disease. Recovering out loud. See, bro, I am not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed of being a sober addict and alcoholic today. it doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing. If somebody stops me and want to talk recovery, I will stop whatever I'm doing,
Right.
because I'm super passionate about it, because people came before me and they helped me and have such a different life today. And I want to pay it forward to the next person. I don't care who you are. I don't even need to know who you are. If you're reaching out for help, I'm going to help you. But until then, all I can do really is pray for the person. That's all. Because I get cousins back home in Hawaii still struggling with this. And the hard truth is, I cannot. Some people die before they hit the bottom, and really all I can do is pray for my cousins, out there. But anyways, Hayley, thank you so much, man. This has been great. So much fun. I'm gonna go and work out now after this. I'm so pumped.
Yeah,
Man.
I'm pumped too. I'm like,
I
real
absolutely love talking recovery, man. I love it.
It is.
So thank you so much.
It's a
I'll be
beautiful
in touch with you. You have a great night.
You too. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Alita. We'll be in touch. Thank you, everyone,
Okay.
for stopping
Aloha.
in. See y'all.
Okay, guys, that was Hayley. That was her story. Now, I always say this. If you guys have a story to tell that will inspire, encourage, motivate somebody else to get sober, to change their life, to get into recovery, and to just have a different mindset, different way of thinking. If you have a story to tell, please reach out to me. If you know somebody that has a story to tell, get in contact with them, put them in touch with me, and we can make this happen. There's too much people out in the world dying from overdoses, direct result from this disease, and it's all 100% preventable. These people don't have to die. We can be a voice for recovery if we choose to. So I encourage you guys to do that and reach out to me. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. Have a great day.